Good evening, and welcome to this edition of The List on UWW-TV. I'm Alex Monti, alongside Nazir Spencer. For the next few minutes, we'll present our top 5 sports stories of the week and discuss why they made our top 5. Did your top 5 make our list? Let's find out. At number 5, Brewers have an early exit as they were eliminated from the postseason by the Diamondbacks. The Brewers now face an off-season of uncertainty as manager Craig Counsell is about to enter free agency, along with key players such as Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, and Willy Adames, hitting their final years of team control. Nazir, what do you think of the future for the Brewers will look like, and how will this affect their season next year?
Well, Alex, the Brewers, they lost in the most Milwaukee way possible last week, and it was a heartbreaking loss that a lot of us Wisconsinites, we haven't gotten over yet. And their future is looking kind of bright still, I would say. We have some amazing players on offense. We have amazing pitching, but we need to have a little bit more control when we're all on bases. Last week during the 2 games, we were on full base a total of 4 times, and we couldn't get a run going. And it's so upsetting to watch that when you're out having a good time and you're expecting the Brewers to win and advance to the next round against the Dodgers and play the Dodgers who choke every year. But I really believe that the Brewers have a really bright future. It's kind of like 2018, but hopefully we can make the playoffs every year and have high expectations and play like the Phillies or the Braves like they are right now in that amazing series. But yeah, I think our future is really well put together right now, but we got a lot of things to work on for sure.
Yeah, it does seem like a time of uncertainty, but also positivity. I feel like this team is young, and this year really wasn't going to be the year, but I feel like next year is going to be their time to shine, much like the Orioles, who got swept by the Rangers. Just a team that was really too young for the big lights this far, or this early into their rebuild. And then for Whitewater football, at number 4, the UW Whitewater football team loses to UW La Crosse, 37-34. Whitewater had 3 fumbles, which La Crosse turned into 14 points. Though Whitewater was able to bounce back and tie the game, it was a game-winning field goal of 51 yards that moved them to 4-1 record. Nazir, how do you think Whitewater will bounce back from this loss, and should Whitewater be nervous moving forward?
I do think they should be a little bit nervous because that loss was gut-wrenching, man. It was Family Fest, and everything was going right, but also so wrong at the same time. We had 3 fumbles, I'm pretty sure. One was a little controversial. Everyone believes that his knee was on the ground. But we had a really good offensive game plan against La Crosse, and La Crosse just came out and played their hearts out. They beat us for the first time in 20 years, or 19 or 20 years, I should say. And it's hard to watch that as we have to go into River Falls next week and play the best quarterback, I think, in the WIAC, and Caleb Blaha. And I think we have to really, go all in on this game because the next few weeks aren't easy either. As next week we play Stout next week, who has an amazing offense. They've gone in 2 back-to-back blowouts, 40-point blowouts, mind you, and they're looking amazing. They're not a top-ranked team, but that is a team that could wreck everything for us. But I believe that we are still safe in the WIAC, as River Falls hasn't played anybody really. They haven't played us. They haven't played Oshkosh. They haven't played La Crosse yet. And La Crosse already has 1 loss. So I believe that we are still in really good shape, and we could possibly still win the WIAC.
I feel like it was just a lot of trickery and a lot of capitalizing on the turnovers that really helped La Crosse. It'll be interesting to see how the defense is able to perhaps get more of a pass rush against the quarterback that they lacked this past week against River Falls. But then at number 3, the Eagles and 49ers are the only teams remaining with an undefeated record so far this season. Through 5 weeks, the 49ers dominated the Cowboys with a 42-10 win, and the Eagles shut down the Rams with a 23-14 score. Nazir, who has been the most impressive team so far?
I think it's the 49ers. They have the less experienced quarterback in Brock Purdy, and obviously they have the best weapons, but we're looking at the new version of the Eagles pretty much. Last year the Eagles were this type, and no one thought that the Eagles would be that good with Jalen Hurts, as people have gotten a little weird about his throwing motion and how far he can throw, but obviously he's one of the best playmakers in the league. But you have to really look at the 49ers and what they're accomplishing right now. They just destroyed a top 10 team in the league a few days ago, and the Cowboys, obviously the Cowboys aren't that impressive to some degree sometimes, as some Packer fans may say, but with Mike McCarthy as their head coach, I'm sure a lot of Packers fans wouldn't like that team as much as well. But the 49ers are really an outstanding team. Their defense, with Fred Warner leading the way. They have Nick Bosa, who just got re-signed. I mean, this team is looking amazing. I'm going to root for the Bosa brothers, obviously, because we're Chargers fans. So if there's a Bosa on one team, we're going to root for him. But I still like the Eagles. They still are an amazing team. They're looking to go back to the Super Bowl, but I think this is the time for the 49ers to shine.
Yeah, and it's really been interesting with the Eagles. A lot of people have been kind of talking them down in a way. Even though they're 5-0, undefeated and such, they really haven't been winning their games as convincingly per se. But I feel like it's still something that needs to be respected. But the Niners really do stand like above and beyond everybody else. Just an utter shellacking they put on the Cowboys. We've got more coming up on the list, including the Green Bay Packers and two important figures on the Broncos, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. We'll be right back.
For Hawk Talk, especially on days I'm hosting, you really need to be up early looking at those news stories, even the night before. I'm finding topics that I can incorporate in the show, and I feel like we get a conversation going.
Once you get the opportunity to do that with other people who appreciate it the same level as you do, it makes it that much more enjoyable.
For everything sports, tune in Monday through Thursday at 91.7 The Edge or watch us on UWW-TV.
Here at UW Whitewater Intramural Sports, we have a motto: a sport for everyone and everyone in a sport.
Come on! That's it anyways. Oh, she got that off, and they're going to count it.
Had a blast. Always have fun at intramurals.
Every day we strive to go above and beyond that goal by providing healthy exercise, promoting leisure education, and giving students that competitive atmosphere they are looking for.
Yes! Yes!
It's exciting. Brings me back to those high school days with Friday Night Lights.
With our 25 different intramural sports offered, we guarantee that we have a sport for you. Go to our website and find your sport today.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby.
Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela Burgess. An incredible finish by Hall.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
As an Army ROTC cadet at Whitewater, you have the opportunity to develop into a great leader while learning and applying the Army values to your everyday life. Within ROTC, you have the chance to travel overseas in the CULP program to train with other militaries, attend many elite Army schools such as Airborne and Combat Diver, and you have the opportunity to attend conferences and guest lectures by some of the Army's top-ranking officers. Our Warhawk cadets participate in many extracurricular activities, Division III sports, Greek life, intramural sports, among many other team building and community service events. Being a cadet at Whitewater is more than just being part of the Army. It's also about being active members in our community and coming together to form a family atmosphere. Anyone who wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves while developing themselves professionally should consider UW Whitewater ROTC. To sign up for UW Whitewater ROTC, go to the 4th floor of McCutcheon Hall to room 417.
Welcome back to the list on UWW-TV. Let's continue the countdown to this week's top sports stories. At number 2, the Packers lost to the Raiders 17-13. While this game broke a 3-game losing streak for the Raiders, it dropped the Packers to a 2-3 record. Even though the Packers dominated in the third quarter, it was an interception in the last 44 seconds of the game that prevented the Packers from winning. Nazir, what changes need to be made moving forward, and are the playoffs possible for the Packers this year?
I think a solid 7 seed is possible for the Packers right now. It was really hard to watch Max Crosby for the Raiders just destroy Jordan Love and that O-line. It was really hard because, like we said before, we're Chargers fans, so we don't want to root for the wrong team. But, the Raiders looked they looked okay. I mean, Love is still young. He still has a lot to prove in this league. But I think with Aaron Jones still out, they still have a really good offense on their hands. Aaron Jones just needs to come back and after this next bye week and come out the gates and destroy the Broncos and maybe have some fun against the Vikings after that week too. But Josh Jacobs looks unstoppable that game as well. But the game was impressive for the most part for the Raiders, I guess. But the Packers, they're still young. Like we said last week, they still have a lot to learn. And on the offensive side, at least, the defense looked stout. They looked amazing. They allowed 17 points. There's not much else you should ask for a defense, but scoring 13 points on offense is unacceptable in my opinion. And I think that moving forward, they should look to calling different plays, having better time management, and doing a lot of better things on offense.
Yeah, I really feel like it was a mediocre game overall. It wasn't necessarily the best versus the best. I feel like it kind of also proved which division may be the worst in the NFL. And right now, it's kind of looking like the NFC North. Just not a lot of talent throughout the division, second to bottom. The Lions are still good. And now it's time to reveal our #1 sports story of the week. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. The NFL continues to shake things up as the Broncos lose to the Jets. With 41 seconds remaining on the clock, Russell Wilson is strip sacked and the Jets recover the fumble and return it for a touchdown, winning 31-21. Nazir, who do you think is to blame, Sean Payton or Russell Wilson?
Guys, at some point we got to stop blaming Russell Wilson for these types of losses. I mean, Russ is putting up amazing numbers right now, pretty average numbers, I should say, but for his caliber at this moment, he's putting up pretty good numbers, 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, there's not much else you should ask for Russell Wilson. I'm not saying that Sean Payton is the full problem. I think Russ just isn't the problem, and that's the issue. We don't know exactly what's going on. General manager, he's, John Elway, Mr. Bronco. We don't know exactly what's going on in that locker room, but, it looked really good for the Jets. I will say that. Zach Wilson played out of his mind again. Breece Hall comeback game. He had an amazing 60-yard touchdown, I believe. And then there's, the revenge game for Hackett. Sean Payton, he was talking down on Nathaniel Hackett in preseason, and it looked really bad for Sean Payton. But I'm a really big Russ fan. I always have been. But Sean Payton, not so much. I think that Sean Payton just needs to get used to this team still, and he needs to pump the brakes on trying to win every single game. He needs to focus on one game at a time, and that'll be the key for the Broncos to winning games.
I'm thinking it's just going to take another year for the Sean Payton system to really sink in. I feel like Russell Wilson in the long term is probably going to be the first to go between the two, but I feel like you brought up a great point with John Elway. Soon he'll need to start answering some questions. And that will do it for this edition of The List. We'll be back next week to talk up the sports headlines. For Nazir Spencer, I'm Alex Monty. See you then.